es el 27 de junio 2025. Yo soy Sweets. Acá está Excelencia, la X. Y este es nuestra reunión semanal para hablar de su proyecto y su próximo álbum, El Niño Maravilloso. Para empezar, como empezamos la semana pasada, en una palabra, ¿cómo estás hoy? Y en una frase, ¿qué necesitas hoy?
En una palabra, me siento súper maravilloso. And then, para esta semana estamos revisando lo del chat que habíamos hablado la semana anterior. Y además de eso, no creo que necesite algo, sino ese era el enfoque.
La pregunta más importante en mi lado es, ¿cuál es el métrico que vas a mirar para mirar el éxito del chat? What's the metric you'll be tracking to measure the success of the chat?
That's interesting. I would say a specific metric, I can't think of one off the top. I think if we were to go live with it and share it, that would be one way to base it off of, is see who starts interacting with it. And if we can get any details on, I'm curious to see what people will ask. If it'll be, some of the stuff we talked about, or if they just want to dive in other ways. Pero ahora, something interesting, I thought of. There might be some people that might be interested in, like, data from, like, Spotify or DSPs, or, like, what's Excelencia's or La X's largest market base listenership, on Spotify. That's really interesting, right?
Mhm.
Ah, porque yo me imagino que hay personas interesadas en eso también, como que, like, right now, I think Italy is my number one market on Spotify in terms of listeners. So I'll go fresh that if someone asked, they probably might be like, whoa, okay, like, he's doing Spanish, reggaeton, Latin music, but Italy's his top market on Spotify at the moment. So, like, those are, like, little interesting pockets that people might discover just by interacting with the chat.
En mi lado, para empezar, creo que es mejor si puedes compartir tu pantalla y hablamos del chat. En tu
Dale.
opinión, ¿hay otra manera que podamos organizar el feedback que tienes para el chat?
So, déjame entrar aquí. Okay, so I'll do the share screen. Let's see. Se ve de ahí, ¿no?
Sí, la
Okay,
veo.
so even before that, if we go back home, ahora mismo la única manera de entrar es el URL, ¿no?
Exactamente, por ahora es así.
Okay, so ahí está el chat. So let's see. It's currently sending. I asked who is La X. Let's see what information it brings up. It's interesting because I'm going through that transition of, the name change and all of that. So it is a bit of a challenge at the moment, I feel. But here it goes. Yeah, so right off you get La X is a reggaeton Latin urban artist, signed to Shifted Culture Records, which is my label. See, I love this right away. Music and style, I think, is super cool. Primary language, several tracks. I love this too, the whole collaborations thing.
Mm.
I think that's one of my favorite things that it shares. But you see, even going in a little more into, like, Spotify followers, Spotify popularity, not everyone will be interested in that, but I think there might be a group of collectors or someone that I can just point to the chat and say, hey, like, you can dive in a little more to my data from Spotify without me having to invite you to my Spotify for Artists team or something, which is something I did actually when I did a crowdfund a few years ago,
Mhm.
and I gave the top 10 collectors access to my Spotify for Artists. So I would invite them via email. They'll join the team on the Spotify for Artists, and they were able to go in there and see things. So, like, this is interesting because it kind of eliminates a couple steps where they can just go straight to the chat and say, hey, like, what's Excelencia's top market, or what's his 10th market, right? That might be interesting too.
Off of what you see right now in the interaction and what you've been playing around, what do you think is the single most important change that we could make to the current chat
Yeah.
to align it, to maximally align it with the vision that you have for what you were mentioning last week of developing your character IP using artificial intelligence?
I think some sort of introduction or onboarding with a couple of prompt-based things where, like, you go on GPT or you go on one of the chats, and it kind of already populates a couple prompts that you can use. So
Mm,
some prompts tailored to the experience. So what is Maravilla City, or who is La X? The same question I asked. I think that could be just some simple, straightforward ways of getting people involved.
yep.
Um, I would say formatting. So as you see, it just kind of brought everything in. I'm seeing a lot of like asterisks and a lot of characters on there.
Yep.
So I think that would be like in the list as well.
So markdown as well as a couple of prompt buttons. For your prompt buttons, you want one that says who is Laakis, and the other
Yeah.
one you said something about Maravilla.
Yeah. What is Maravilla City?
What
That
is Maravilla?
Yeah, that may require us providing some of that info or details, correct? A
I
little
am
more.
glad you're asking that. This is bringing me to where I think we can do one of these tweaks. Would you mind asking that question? What is
Okay.
Maravilla City?
So,
Let's see what the response is right now.
who's Maravilla City? It's currently sending. Let's see. Yeah.
I don't have any info. I'm going to go and do a web search. It has access to all the tools in Recoup, so it's going to go and do that web search. And what are your thoughts on what it came back with from the web? Is that accurate or totally unrelated to the response you hope it is going to do?
Yeah, it's totally unrelated.
Okay. Can you try going on to Recoup and sharing your screen over there? And I want to try something with you for you to be
Okay.
able to add in more info when the current information the AI has is off. In
All
this
right.
case, you want it to have info that is not available on the internet, not available on your Spotify. Maybe you've referenced it in a couple of your Instagram or tweets,
Mhm.
but it's really obscure information right now because this is a project you have intentionally not released yet. It's still unreleased. And
Correct.
so you're trying to provide a set of information that is not really anywhere on the internet right now. And the only place you can really find that info is inside of your chat. Am I understanding correctly?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
So let's go ahead. Let's give this a shot. I'm on Recoup. All right. That should have came up.
Okay. I've connected the chatbot that's on your website to this artist that you have on the right that's actively selected. So if you
All
click
right.
the three dots on him, everything that is included in here is included in your chatbot. So if you want
Mm,
to add a new knowledge base, like your list of producers and stuff, you can make a text file and then add it right there in that knowledge base. If you want to add in custom instructions like Maravilla City is X, Y, and Z, you can just put, I think the two big ways you can update it is your custom instructions up top or your
yeah.
knowledge base down below.
Wow.
Custom
Okay. Yeah.
instructions are
So.
going to be put in text info of like how you want the assistant to respond, like always sign off saying
Mm,
sigue tu imaginación in
yeah.
todo mayúscula, or don't use the word recoup ever. You are my assistant and your name is El Niño. Or if you want to like give it a personality, put that in the custom instructions. And then anything that's like another set of info that you want it to know,
Mhm.
make a text file, a PDF, an image, whatever file type you want, then add it to your knowledge base. And if we can we try, I think the simplest way is going to be custom instructions for now.
Yep.
In your custom instructions, can you put something about Maravilla City?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Let's see. I had something from the site. I believe that might. Let's see. Should be like X. So this is more around the album, but then we would have to also kind of add more along the lines of, because by just adding this as custom instructions, it's just information.
Right.
So let's see. I had a bit of a write up here. think this could work best. Well, actually, website. All right, so this is a bit more. Welcome to Maravilloso City, an interactive world for our upcoming album. And it lets you know what you can do here. So explore new music videos, collect drops, subscribe for even more access, level up on the leaderboard. It's my version of like a direct-to-fan platform with world building at its core. That was kind of like the idea, was like I can build something that is like direct-to-fan, but there's a bit more of like that lore. It's not just this sort of like modern landing page with some info, and like, I wanted to make it a bit more interactive for those who've been on it, side attached. So it's more of a personal note. So I don't know if that's completely necessary right now. This is more of the information, I would say. So we could start off with this.
And where'd you get this info from? You got this from a different place. You've already published it, right?
Correct. So Twitter.
This was a tweet?
Yeah, this was a tweet. Tweet that I did for the launch when I showed the video and explained a little bit more about the site.
Is this your pin post on Twitter?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so the current mental model that you're following is the pin post that you have that is teasing the project or announcing the site. You copy and pasted that exact announcement, and you're using that as the custom instructions right now.
At the moment, yeah, correct.
Okay. Just mapping it, because you're the first musician that's doing this, and so I'm trying to state it out loud for anybody else that's watching the video, for other musicians that are watching this, to try to formulate, okay, I see custom instructions. I've never used that before. What do I put in it? Excelencia Laakis is taking his announcement of his upcoming project, putting that in there so that the assistant is, it feels like right now being the announcer of your project. Welcome to the city. It's like the person is standing at the gate, ready to welcome you in.
Correct. Yeah, I agree. That's definitely what I'm going for here.
Anything else you want to add before we click save?
So I updated the Instagram, Spotify. I added the YouTube. I can add my X now. Might as well now that I'm there. Ooh, all right. If I had to click to drop a file in here, it would be great. It seems like I got some homework, but I think I'm good for now.
Let's do it.
So let's save.
And now try going back to your chat, share the screen, and try asking the same question and see if it improved.
All right, we're back. Okay, so let's go ahead and ask it. What is Maravilloso?
Didn't have to do any code, didn't have to deploy, didn't have to wait for anything.
All text-based.
All text-based. Now the question is does it update? I'm thinking this is going to work, but I haven't actually tested it yet.
All right, let's see.
Boom.
There it goes. Yeah, nice. According to artist information, which is great. You kind of want that to come from the artist instead of some random source. An active world tied to Aki's upcoming album, not just a website, direct-to-fan platform. You can explore new music videos, collect drops, likely digital collectibles. It added context around that. That's pretty cool. Because I didn't input that. I said digital drops, so likely digital collectibles. So that's something that maybe I can change myself, but I like that it kind of gave it more context. Level up on a leaderboard system, same thing. Earn XP in parentheses. I don't believe that's something that I added. I'm going back here. Yeah, I put level up on the leaderboard. So kind of added that. The concept appears to be created in a digital environment. A little more context. This is generated from the
LLM.
Right, yeah. So participate in gamified experiences rather than just passively consuming content. Again, more context. This represents an innovative approach to artist-fan connection. So it's adding, it's giving more context than I even gave it, which is, I think, super key to this.
So for your first point of, now you've put me in a good position to put those prompts. So now I can put who is Laakis as a button and what is Maravilloso City as a button. And if you click on either of those, we have just tested, both of those will give answers that you are at least baseline content with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like you said, since I want to dive in more to the character IP, I can go into custom instructions and kind of give it the vibe that I'm going for, or the personality, the what I'm going for. So if I wanted to explain it in a different way, I'm sure that once it regenerates it'll do that. So that's cool.
Can we try one more thing going back to Recoup?
Yeah.
On Recoup, would you mind closing out of this? And can you
Okay.
copy from your El Nino website your list of metadata?
So from the so
The stuff that we're showing right now on the metadata, eventually we want to replace that with the chat, right?
yeah, exactly.
Can
All
you
right, so
put that
I
info
got
in
it.
the chat and say, please make a knowledge base text file out of this info and attach it to my artist?
Space
Text file.
text file and attach it. You said
Yeah, attach it to this artist.
attach it to this artist. So that's the metadata of like. Let me make some formatting changes here. Devs, designer, album. Okay, that should be good.
And so you were just saying, I have some homework, and the one thing I don't want to do is for you to have to like roll your eyes and go and do a whole bunch of manual tasks.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the thought here is maybe making it easier for you for doing that development of the files instead of you having to go and really sit down and think about how the knowledge base is going to look. Just talk about it with the AI and let the AI write those text files for you. It'll fill in the little extra pieces of context that you didn't even think about, and then hopefully just reducing the mental burden so that you can focus more on the up and out of where you're trying to get the ship going, and let the AI do the middle work of, okay, La Keys define where we're going. Let me fill in some of this generated file. Let me do the generation of the text file. Let me do the attachment. And so that's like at least 10 clicks that you didn't have to do to put this information in, fill it up with a couple extra, like it filled it in with a couple other things you might not have had there. And then it just went and attached it.
Right
Should
here.
have attached it, maybe. Yeah. I wonder if it replaced it. Can you click on that? It might have just replaced your previous knowledge base with this new one. If so, I need to fix that.
The file has been stored. It's now attached to the artist profile. So let's go ahead. If we come in here, should it be in here? Should it come up in here?
It should be down above the other one. I don't see it there right now. We might need to refresh the page for it to show up. I'm seeing Laakis research report right now, and the one that it's showing on the UI component says Excellencia knowledge base. My
Right.
fear is once we would you mind clicking on the three dots on your profile again in the
Yep.
top right? And can you click on that file? I don't want this file to get lost. So click on that just to make sure that we don't lose the knowledge base we've already built. And then can you close this and refresh the page? I have a feeling when you refresh, the original report's gone and it's replaced it with the new one, which is a bug that I'll need to fix.
All right, so let's go ahead and refresh this exact page. All right, let's go to artist profile.
Yeah.
Okay. Replace it.
Okay. So that's a bug on my side. Ideally, you can continue to do this. For now, it seems like I have a bug in the tool and it's replacing the file instead of adding a new one. But give me this weekend. Once I get to Colombia, I'll make that fix. And then what are your thoughts on this being how you add and modify the information accessible to the chatbot that's on your website?
No, this is great because I like that it attached it for me as well. So I don't have to go through the downloading to then re-upload to then. So that's key. It automated that for me. After I confirmed, let's see something. Well, I told it to attach it right away. So I'm sure if I can work with it, tweak it, and then say, hey, okay, now I'm ready for you to generate this and attach it to the artist profile. That could also be a flow, and it's still saving me a lot of time. So
Let's go back to your chat and check real quick. Like ask anything you might to get that metadata info. Let's see if that is working. So we tested. Go ahead.
Who are the producers on this album?
So we've already tested the custom instructions work. The custom instructions, you just change that text and it works.
Right.
The second test, you told it to generate a text file and attach it as a knowledge base. Now we're seeing if new changes to your knowledge base are working.
Yeah, so the original question was, what is Maravilla City? It gave more context about the site, a little bit about the album, the experience, and now who are the producers on this album based on a knowledge base? Emme, Shine, JV Boy, Lelo, Chris Cruz. This information is associated with Niño Maravilla on the knowledge page. The album title, related to the Maravilla City concept, seems to feature production from these 5 producers: creating the sonic landscape for this interactive experience. That's perfect. So again, we're replacing the static text metadata on this planet on the site. So again, it's more interactive. Now you can talk about the producers on it, and as the more knowledge I give it, which a lot of it right now is probably more internal, like you said, it's not out and about. I can start giving it that, and speak more on what the music sounds like before even anyone gets a chance to hear it. And like, in the future, as like I start getting, I don't know, some press or some marketing or more SEO, more mentions, then I'm sure the model can pick up on it.
Right.
If not, then I feed it, again, give it the knowledge to share that. So this is exactly what I was looking for.
Is the feedback that I have the most important feedback, or maybe phrased a different way? What can I focus on that would be more important than adding those prompt buttons to start the conversation and adding
Yeah.
in markdown so that the text that's being displayed is better formatted? What is a more important task that can help align the chat that exists right now with your vision to get you closer to feeling confident to announce this publicly?
So I'm curious if directly on the landing page, when you click on the metadata planet, if that embeddable pop-up, like I think that gives it a bit more of a unique versus a separate page, which I understand right now for testing, and I'm sure some people would like that as well. So I would say that.
This was just a proof of concept. I was up late last night. I'm like, oh shoot, I haven't built the chat for excellency and I want that to be ready. And so I was like, it's going to be easier for me to build it as a separite route and it's going to take me less time. However, in the metadata planet, do we like the look of it right now? And it'll just be
Right.
the same UI look for now inside of that metadata planet?
Yeah, if I made a change to that, it would be more on the, let's see, maybe like the dark mode version of it. I would say, if anything, but that's just like a UI thing.
Yeah, maybe you could V0, like maybe are you fine with me doing this for now? And if you have a design you want to change it
Oh, yeah.
to either V0 or give me something else?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. Like, we can test with this current UI, like, anything that simplifies it, streamlines it for us so that people can start exploring. And again, I have about a week, or I have, like, 2 weeks before the first song from the project actually releases.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, like, as I'm telling the story of the site and the things that you can do, I think being able to share that right away, once it's ready, and just saying like, "Hey, you could also go here and learn more about me and the album." I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a banger right there.
When I add it to the metadata planet, would you like me to remove this chat page, or is it helpful to keep this route for you to use in your arsenal of like you can go to the chat route?
Let's keep it. Absolutely, yeah. Let's
Okay.
keep that, because I could also share that with others if they wanna, test it out, explore.
It's a direct link instead of, yeah, you can send them directly to the chat instead of saying go here and then click on this, give them
Yeah.
the chat link. It's like you can specifically give them your AI.
Yeah, yeah, I like that a lot.
Which task is most important? If I only do one, the prompts, the markdown, or moving the chat to the metadata planet, which is most important?
I'd say moving the chat to the metadata planet. Like, prioritizing that, high priority, medium prompts, and, the formatting could be markdown could be on the lower side.
I know we're at time. Would you mind checking one more thing for me? Can you go back to recoup? I asked the original question. The most important question in my mind is, what is the metrics Lakis is going to be tracking to measuring the success of this chat? Your original response was, who is interacting with it and what do they ask? Can you
Yeah.
move your mouse onto the left side for your recent chats?
Yeah.
Can you try the first one? Not this chat that we're on right now, but click one lower.
This one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm wondering, I'm hoping that the chats that are happening on your site just show up here on the left side, so that if you were ever asking, what are people talking about? You can come over here onto Recoup, go into the left side, and all of these are going to be updated with the chats that your fans are coming to the site and having.
Oh, that's wild. Yeah. So I get some data. I get some data around usage and some of the stuff that they're asking.
The one thing you won't know is who they are.
Right,
Because so far we are not making any prerequisite of you need to sign in. And if you
right,
don't
right.
need to sign in, we won't know who they are. And so the question, that was one of the things you said, is who is interacting with it. A question for you is, do you want to add that additional friction to give you the additional tracking? Do you want to add a sign-in step that's going to increase the number of clicks everybody has to do in order to use the chat. However, it also gives you specific information on who are the people, what's their login info, and like who specifically is talking to the chat. Maybe, I don't know if you have the answer right now, but just a question I wanted to plant in your head.
Yeah, right off the bat, I can say I don't want to add that friction to it, especially because I find this as like a feature that complements the experience. And there's already a few ways for fans or collectors to connect with me, right? We have the Lalo embed where they can provide a number and an email if they're interested in getting notifications or updates on the things that I'm working on. There's different ways for them to support me as well already. So I'm more interested in getting that usage, like if it's actually being used and what the things that they're asking, because that can let us know, hey, this is a good prompt to add. Like fans are asking more about like, when are you coming to perform in my city? That might be the thing that comes up 10 times, and that's something that we can have right there as a prompt at the top.
Agreed. I know we're at time, so I want to turn the conversation back to you. What else do you want to talk about in this call that we haven't already covered to make sure that we covered everything you wanted to cover?
Man, this is what I was most excited about. So I think we covered what we were going for. We worked on it. We got some priorities, and we have a to-do list for it. So for me, I'm good. I'm excited to see where this goes. And again, as I'm approaching like the actual first releases, I think that's where like I'm gonna drive more people to go on here, experience it, check it out, and interact with it.
This is the second week you and I are talking about the chat, and I just want to ask you the same question of what's the main value this chat is going to add to your rollout of this new album? For other musicians that are considering this, you were saying character IP, is it still character IP, or as you're starting to see it unfold more, what is the value this chat or this artificial intelligence is going to add to the album that you're releasing?
Yeah, so I think it definitely goes with what I was originally going for, so a more interactive experience. So instead of just passively consuming a song and watching a video, now there's like this interaction and entertainment value to it. So I think those two things, entertainment and interaction, are what I'm going for on this. It makes it more immersive. Like that's the original vision, right, of this site and this experience, where it's not just go here, listen to the album, buy it, download it. It's like, wait, there's a couple more things to do over time as the releases go on. And I think that makes it really interesting to me. That's where the value's at.
If you made it this far, give us a like, go over to Excellencia's profile and give him a follow, repost this so that other musicians can see one of the pioneering musicians building out an AI that goes with their album.